Bryce.
What's up?
I'm just going to give you the floor here. We've got New York Knicks versus Detroit Pistons. Pistons are the 6 seed. The Knicks are the 3 seed. I think I'm going to surprise you with where I'm at on this. I want to give you the floor to be able to talk through this because you have watched the Pistons excruciatingly often over the course of the last 5 years.
I didn't think I was ever going to get a chance to analyze, potentially video breakdown a Detroit Piston playoff game. We joked over the last couple of years. Can you imagine the viewership for a podcast over at the Pistons Pulse if we broke down a Pistons playoff game? And we will get that sometime in the next week or so. I will tell you, this is the matchup I wanted for Detroit, not because I think it's a great matchup necessarily, or I think they're going to win it or upset or whatever, solely because all year long, my phrase for the Detroit Pistons has been data collection. And I think this gives Trajan Langdon and the organization the most data collection possible in terms of it's a very interesting defensive matchup for Jalen Duren having to guard Karl-Anthony Towns. It's a really interesting defensive matchup for Asar Thompson guarding Jalen Brunson. Although the Pistons started Cade Cunningham on Jalen Brunson in the most recent matchup, which I want to talk with you a little bit. And then I want to see Cade Cunningham playing against the Knicks, where I assume OG Anunoby is going to get the matchup, but where Cade has been pretty successful against that Knicks defense this season.
Okay. So the key to this is trying to figure out what Knicks are you going to get? Because over the course of this little run since like Brunson was out of the lineup and then came back here a little bit late in the year so he could get eligible for awards and everything. What the key was to me is that the Knicks started to like play Tibbs ball again, as opposed to the free flowing offense that we saw throughout the course of the year. You know what I mean? Like where it was all sorts of super fun actions and you had the Brunson Cat 2-man game and everything like that. Over the course of this last little run, they've been like pretty good on defense and they have been, I think it's like the last 15 games. And I think they're like 9-6 in those games too, by the way, but it's like a lot of defense. It's some 2 big lineups, not a lot, but like some 2 big lineups. Mitchell Robinson is obviously back, playing some games here. And the guy that I really just need to call out here and just throw an immense amount of roses and flowers to is OG Anunoby.
Yes.
The defense has been spectacular. He played 74 games this year. He has been just unbelievable on that end of the court. Offensively, obviously, as well, he's taken just a huge leap over the back. I don't even know. Do you want to call it like half of the season? Maybe like back third of the season, maybe. So over his last 23 games, so since, mid-February, he's averaging 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 47, 39, 82. He's just been a monster.
Yeah, he's been incredible. I recorded with our guy GMAC previewing the Pistons Knicks most recent matchup, which OG did not play in fairness. No OG, no Josh Hart in that game. But yeah, he rattled off a 15 game stretch or something that OG had where the number, it was like a 50, 40, 80, 25, 26 points, something crazy.
Yeah.
He's been really good this year. Like his play on the wing, 2-way play on the wing has been awesome. And I think he is the X factor, the key. I think I know what Jalen Brunson's going to be in the playoffs. I feel like we've seen that. I think I know what Cat's going to be in the playoffs. I even kind of feel like I know what like Josh Hart is, Mikal Bridges, whatever. OG like playing at that sort of level on both ends, I think is the key for the Knicks. Not just in this series where I think if he's not, Detroit has a chance, but for them to make any sort of run after this first round series.
So the key to me here is kind of twofold. And you mentioned both of these factors. The first one isn't Brunson to me. It is Cat. Because I do think Cat is where they can get like a real marginal advantage in this series if JB decides to like really roll with Duren, and Duren has been better on defense like over the back half of the year. Like we can call that out and be fair.
Yes.
I do think it is like a disaster matchup for Duren a little bit with Cat. What worries me there is if he doesn't stay with, or if he does stay with Duren and isn't as willing to play like Isaiah Stewart 30 minutes, that's where it could get tricky, because I love the Stewart matchup on Cat. And if the Knicks go two bigs, I really like the fact that Detroit has a lot of different routes to be able to potentially slow down the Knicks going two bigs with Stewart and Duren. But the problem there, if that happens, is that it really neuters Detroit's offense because of the second piece of this, which is who gets the Brunson matchup. I would bet you that the reason they tried Cade on Brunson recently was because if they do have to go with that multi-big lineup in the playoffs,
you can't play a SAR.
You can't play a SAR. It becomes or if you do that, you have to play, Stewart or Duren at the 5 dealing with Mitch. And maybe you just like throw a SAR on Cat and just see if he can bother him athletically. Right. So I'm intrigued by that potentially too, but if you do that, then you're taking a SAR off of Brunson, who is the head of the snake and makes everything happen for New York. So how all of those matchups like kind of intertwine to me is what makes this an incredibly interesting series.
Another thing that they haven't done against the Knicks, but have done against other teams is they could put Harris on Cat and then just say, Jalen Duren, you're going to guard Josh Hart, if they want to choose to not guard Josh Hart and see how that goes. Another thing that came away from Cade being on Brunson, you know what it did on the other end of the floor whenever the Knicks missed? It immediately put Brunson on Cade. And so like that was something I put in my notes was here's why I don't like it. If Cade Cunningham gets 2 fouls in the first 3 minutes of the game, it changes the trajectory of the game and Jalen Brunson can draw fouls. But I was like, man, this is kind of interesting because now you could use a SAR as an off the ball roamer and rim protector, disruptor, depending on who you put him on. And then the cross matches going the other way of immediately getting Brunson on Cade, not having to run any actions to get it or anything like that. And then you can run a Cade Duren pick and roll against Brunson and Cat, I think would be interesting to JB and his staff. So I do think it'll be, here's the other thing. A SAR also gets in foul trouble. So maybe they just don't want to start a SAR on Brunson, him get in foul trouble, and then he's got 2 right away. And, it seems to mess with his head more than it does. Like, I think Cade could actually play with 2 fouls. You take him off Brunson, you go put him on somebody else, and he'll figure it out. So I can't remember if they've done this all year. I feel like I did watch these games, but I can't remember. Have they tried Holland on Brunson at all? I would have to look through my notes to see. I would assume he would get some of that matchup though when he's in the game. And I think I didn't know if Ron would be in the playoff rotation.
No, he's definitely in the playoff rotation.
He's going to be in the playoff rotation.
Yeah, no, he has been really useful. I have to when we do rookie teams, like Ron Holland is like he's very, very difficult for me.
We will
in terms of
spoiler, I didn't put him on, but he deserves part of the conversation. Like the dude played 81 games, a lot of production in those 81 games. The only reason he didn't play 82 was because of the suspension. But when you get to the very end of the all rookie, I think valuing a rookie who played 81 games, rotation minutes for a playoff team starts to be a pretty decent argument, even though his numbers aren't great.
No, I completely agree with you. Ron Holland played 1,200 minutes this year on a 44-win team. That's something that very, very few rookies can actually say this year.
Can't make a jump shot. So that tells you what else he was doing was very, very impactful.
Yeah. Okay. So we've talked a lot about the Knicks on offense and how Detroit can match up with that. And I think they actually have like a real chance to match up with that, especially with the Knicks having a relatively poor offensive run here recently. Let's go with. On the other end, how do you think they go about slowing down Cade?
I would put OG on him. is what I would do. I would not put Mikal Bridges on him. I think
that's a bad idea.
Mikal can't guard him. I'm sorry. Like I'm not.
No, he can't. Just point blank. Like we can. The better matchup is Josh Hart on him than Mikal. The best matchup is OG, like 100%. But the better matchup is 1000% Josh Hart over Mikal Bridges to me.
Because here's the thing that Cade has really developed throughout. I think he came into the league with this, but we didn't see it enough. He will take you into the post, and he's done it a lot recently, especially against certain matchups. And he will post Mikal 4 or 5 times, and he'll just do it over and over. I don't know if he can post OG. Cade has gotten a lot stronger. OG is strong.
No, that is a negative matchup for me for Detroit. If he tries to post OG, and again, like Cade has been great in the post. Like this isn't like a slight at him. It's just that OG is one of the best defenders in the league, just point blank. It's going to be tough. So where I'm at on this is that they basically have to just fight and scratch and claw to get Cade switched off of OG like regularly. Be it with so like they love to run like the Duran ball screen with Cade particularly.
Yep.
Which is again to me why I would prefer to probably see a little bit more of Isaiah Stewart in this series. Even though Duran can certainly be like a better dunker spot player than what Stewart can be. I think they're going to have to run a lot of like 1-2, 1-3, 1-4 ball screens to try and get OG switched off of Cade and be able to try and make it work that way.
So that is a very like all season long part of their offense is early offense. They will go cleared outside and they will just run a pass and follow. They will run a ghost. They'll run a true ball, whether it's with Malik or Tim Hardaway Jr. or Asar, whoever, and they just trying to get a switch, a matchup they like. Right? I assume that whoever Jalen Brunson is guarding is going to be involved in that action a lot. So then for the Knicks, are you going to do the Steph Curry with Jalen Brunson where you step up and you hard hedge those things and all of that? Yeah. And the thing is though, like Cade that's potential foul trouble. Brunson steps up there. The ball handler runs into him. Now it's a 50-50 call. You're going to call a charge 20, 30 feet from the basket. But yeah, I think they'll have to get those switches. JB's done some interesting things. Like they'll run some Cade Asar ball screens, pick and roll stuff. Like that'll be fun as well to see.
So, and that specific thing is really interesting because I think I assume that they will try to hide Brunson on Asar.
Yes. Yeah. Cause right? I don't know that. Yeah. I don't think you want Jalen having to chase Tim Hardaway Jr. Or
Beasley.
Yeah, you don't want him having to chase those guys. Beasley's been like straight up like a historic 3-point shooting season, and he will run off screens. They will run a lot of stuff for Tim Hardaway Jr. Not nearly as effective as Beasley, but he's like at 37 on good volume. Brunson, yeah, I think he has to guard Asar, right? There's no other option, and you're not going to put him on Harris, obviously. So yes. I think Harris would just take him onto the block. Yeah. If Schroeder's out there, like maybe you can throw him on Schroeder for sure. I mean, like maybe you can hide him on Fontecchio at times. Like I don't know if Simone's in the playoff rotation, Sam.
He might not be. Like the thing is that they play like 9 or 10 deep in the regular season. So I'm fascinated to see what he does. What do they shrink the rotation too? Yeah. Like I mean, that's a real question.
Schroeder's going to play. Beasley's going to play. Stu's going to play. I'm interested to see if they go with both of Fontecchio and Holland or just one of them, or if they ride the hot hand or how JB plays that out.
Look, he can play against one of those two, but one of those two, Fontecchio or Holland, is only going to be on the court for 10 to 15, 10 minutes, 10 minutes probably, right? Let's call it.
I would agree.
So, and it's going to be bench units. So you might be able to like try and hide those minutes away from Brunson if you want to as well. I don't know if there's a spot to hide him. That's because the thing that worries me with Asar is like, Asar is just way more fucking athletic than he is.
Like, well, here's the thing. Here, I think Brunson would probably be fine, other than like Asar might average 5 offensive rebounds a game in the series. If like Brunson Asar is really good on the offensive boards. His cutting, he's still figuring out. Sometimes he cuts at the wrong time. He'll cut right into Jalen Duren or right into a baseline drive from Schroeder or something like that. I think Brunson would probably be okay there, but there's also going to be times where Asar just jumps higher than him because Asar can do that.
There's that. And there's the fact that like the Pistons have experimented with this too this year, where sometimes they will play Asar on the ball.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, no, they will do that also. So if they want to put Brunson in the action, and he's guarding Asar, he has no problems doing that whatsoever. Another thing is Detroit has played very fast. The back half of the season, maybe more. New York has to take care of the basketball, and they have to be able to stop Detroit in transition, because Detroit loves turning deflections, steals, blocks into transition going the other way. And that's where Malik does get some of his buckets. Asar, whether ball in hand or running the court, is really good in transition. Ron is really good in transition. They've really fed into this. We're going to try to be disruptive defensively, and then we're going to go on the offensive end. And those two things play hand in hand really well. And this is a team, I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I don't know if the streak's still going, but like they had a crazy streak of beating the other team in terms of points in the paint. So they will go, like, they will attack you in the paint over and over. And to your point, JD's gotten a lot better protecting the rim defensively. He's been better but Isaiah Stewart is really good. We would be talking about Isaiah Stewart on Monday if he had enough games where he played more than 20 minutes.
Yeah, he'd be a real all defense threat to me as well. So, yeah, I mean, I'm just really interested to see this series. The key guy for me in this series is probably Cat.
Yeah.
I think that Cat's going to have to be the one that takes them home, because the Pistons have multiple bodies to throw at Brunson. Cat's going to have to be the one that is able to take advantage of the mismatches he gets, be it Tobias Harris, be it Jalen Duren. Isaiah Stewart's not really a mismatch, but you know what? Isaiah Stewart's a little bit smaller than he is. Like, there are going to be times where Cat can like run him off of a screen or something, a pin down or, a flare, and be able to get loose from him a little bit. So Cat is the guy for me in this one. It's going to have to be him that carries the Knicks.
For me, it's the Pistons offense and what that looks like in a playoff settings against a Tom Thibodeau defense. I know we kind of, have taken shots at Brunson, at Cat, at Bridges on that end of the floor. I think I would put 2 on Cade and tell those other guys, make the right decisions and make shots. And here's an argument. I'll make this argument whenever we do all NBA. I don't know who the second best player on the Detroit Pistons is, Sam. And, like Beasley's been incredible, but do they have that second option that can just go? Even if Cade does get 25, do they have the second option throughout an entire series? Can they continue to do it? Tobias one night, Beasley one night, Schroeder has a night, Duren has a night. Can they do that in a series against the same team? Maybe so. That's my worry, where the offense in the half court could really break down for Detroit.
Well, and it's the same conversation that we had with Minnesota and the Lakers, right? Like, there are going to be times where the Knicks just decide we're going to blitz the ball and we're going to take it out of Cade's hands.
They absolutely should at times. Yes.
And the question for me is, who do you want to blitz from? Like, because if you put 2 on the ball against Asar is going to make the right decision.
Yep. If
you put 2 on the ball against, Tim Hardaway Jr. or Malik Beasley, they're going to knock down threes. But if it's Jalen Duren has to make the right decisions as a passer. If it's Isaiah Stewart has to make quick reads as a passer, which is something that he doesn't really do.
Correct.
So again, that's why, to me, for the Pistons, the key action is going to be, not the 1-5 ball screen that they love to run with Duren. It's the 1-2s, the 1-3s, the 1-4s that we see, and how the Knicks handle those ball screens and how they're able to get the ball out of Cade's hands in those moments.
I agree. Everything you said right there, I would agree. I would trust Asar to catch. If I was the Knicks, I would not want Asar catching the ball at 15 feet, playing advantage 4-on-3. Duren has shown good passing flashes, but can he do it consistently? And Isaiah Stewart, again, I love, like, you will not find a bigger Isaiah Stewart defender, but like him having to do that would be interesting in a playoff setting, let alone what does rookie Ron Holland do? How does he respond to that? How does Simone Fontecchio respond to that? I think it's an option that the Knicks can always go to if Cade is really getting off.
Look, I'm going to say something stupid here, and Knicks fans, like, please just like burn me after the fact, like, honestly, like, Knicks fans, you have free reign if they win this series in 4 games, which they might, frankly, because they have drastically more talent than the Pistons. Whatever you want to say, I'm good with it. I'm going Pistons in 7.
I love it. I will not.
I weirdly like the matchup. No. I'm not saying that the Pistons are a better team. I just think that the matchup is really interesting for them. And I think that this is a really close series. It's one that, again, this could make me look so fucking stupid in like 2 weeks, and I'm so ready for it. Like, maybe it's Knicks at 7. I'll say Pistons in 7 because I like the matchup, but like, I'm aware of how stupid this is going to look. Put it that way. I'm fully aware, but for all of the things that we talked about here in terms of the matchup, and I know Cat played fine last year in the playoffs. I do. I get it. I just don't know if I trust him to be like the number one guy that I have to trust going into this series, because Brunson has been hurt and they have a lot of dudes to be able to throw at the ball. And it's really going to come down to Cat for me. And I'm aware that this is going to be stupid.
I think it's going to be very competitive. I have a lot of faith that this may end up sounding, I think Cade's going to show out on the big stage.
I do too.
I think this will be like his true coming out party. I know he's like got the Slam magazine and stuff has happened already. I don't know that everybody kind of really realizes how good of a year he's been. I'm just a little nervous for this team on this stage. Like, everybody fully being ready, but I do think they will be competitive, and I think that they do provide some issues for the Knicks.
And to be clear, I think this is a coaching mismatch for the Knicks. Like, all due respect to JB, I didn't love what I saw last year in the playoffs from the Cavs either. Like,
sure,
everything logically is telling me that the Knicks are better than they are. And yet the matchups are kind of saying something different. And look, maybe you are only as good as the matchups you can get to. I think this is a 7-game series. Maybe that's the way to put it. Like, I think this is a long series. I think this is a knockdown, like, drag out slugfest of a series. And like, maybe Mikal, I mean, here's the other thing, like, who guards Mikal well from the Pistons? Like, who guards OG? Like, OG is going to have to be Tobias probably. And if it's not Tobias, then it's going to have to be one of the wings, right? Or it's going to, like, I'm aware that this is stupid. I'm fully aware that this is stupid.
Don't back out now. Stay with it.
I'm going Pistons in 7. Pistons in 7.
We can have fun on the podcast.
Yeah. It's one of those picks where I'm aware that you can come drag me. I like the matchups here for the Pistons, even though the talent says something different.
Love it. I can't pick the Pistons because then I'd just be like a homer or whatever. So like, it's no fun for me to pick the Pistons. So
yeah, look, you should go with the Knicks and look smart. This way you can't lose.
Oh, like, no. People will be mad at me if they end up winning it and I did not pick them. So I think they will be competitive. I'm nervous about the second score.